Hello, I'm Dr. Stephen Andrew Missick. I'm running for Texas State Legislature, and this is part 2 of Operation Heartbreak Ridge, a strategy to abolish Colony Ridge, Terrenos Houston, by me, Dr. Stephen Andrew Missick, candidate for Texas State Legislature HD 18. So, if you don't know what's going on with Colony Ridge, Terrenos Houston, what's happening, please watch the previous video. Watch part 1 of this series. I didn't want to have a long video where I ramble on and on. It's important issues, but I want to keep everything succinct and as focused and direct as possible. So in part 1, we have the background information about Colony Ridge. Part 2, which is this part, we're going to go through my 10-point program for closing down Colony Ridge. And like I said, the title of this is Operation Heartbreak Ridge, a strategy to abolish Colony Ridge, Terrenos Houston. So step number 1, the voters must decide if they want to keep Colony Ridge. Do you want Colony Ridge or not? Once again, the voters must decide if they want Colony Ridge or not. Not the movers or shakers. I'm telling you, the political establishment here in Liberty County, well, mostly in Cleveland, it's Cleveland, they want Colony Ridge to continue. But what do the common people want? They're not interested in what you want. They're interested in what they want. They're cut, honestly. The school superintendent, even the mayor and city council, they have a different goal, agenda, and interest than what's good for the people of HD 18. What's good for the citizens of Liberty, San Jacinto, and Hardin County? What about their voices? Well, this is your chance. You need to vote on March 5th, 2024. Actually do early voting in February. I'll put those dates out later. But the people need to decide. We're going to make this a referendum on Colony Ridge, Terrenos Houston. If you want, we got 70,000 illegal aliens there now. If you want 250,000, if you want 250,000 more, then vote for Ernest Bales. If you want to stop Colony Ridge, then vote for me, Dr. Missick. And I will implement my plan on closing down Colony Ridge. So let me look back to my booklet and read this. Step 1, voters must decide if they want Colony Ridge or not. If you want Colony Ridge, then vote for the man who created it, and he enriches himself off of it. That's State Representative Ernest Bales. If you want to close down Colony Ridge and tackle this issue head on, then vote for me, Dr. Missick. Colony Ridge is Ernest Bales' baby. He created it with HB 4341. That's the legislation he passed in Austin to create Colony Ridge. So that's his baby. Colony Ridge is Ernest Bales' baby. As long as he is in office, he will protect and expand Colony Ridge. The first step in stopping Colony Ridge is voting Ernest Bales out of office. Actually, the only way, unless the state of Austin comes in and intervenes, the only way to stop Colony Ridge is to vote Ernest Bales out of office. That's step 1. It has to be done. So that's up to the people. You want Colony Ridge? They want it. You know, the city councils, the administrators, county judge, they want 250,000 illegal alien settlers here. That's what they want. They want the shantytown. They want it because they enrich themselves off that. They get their cut. Do you want it? If you don't, vote against Ernest Bales. Now, if you don't want to vote for me, don't. For God's sake, if you want Colony Ridge closed down, you got to get Ernest Bales out of the office. It's the only way to do it. There's another candidate, Janice Holt. I don't think she's equipped to tackle this issue, or she probably isn't even interested in doing it. I'm not saying she's a bad person. She lives an hour away. She's always in Austin. I don't think it's something that she's capable of tackling head on. I'm not saying she's a bad person. She seems to be a nice lady to me. I don't know if any other candidates are running right now. It's me, Ernest Bales, and Janice Holt. Maybe someone else will throw their hat into the ring. But as of now, I'm the one who intends to close down Colony Ridge. That's my goal. Step 2. This is obvious. First, you get rid of Ernest Bales. What do you do next? Which I will do. Repeal House Bill 4341. Repeal the Colony Ridge law. This is Ernest Bales' legislation that created Colony Ridge. Doing this will dissolve the legal foundation protection that State Representative Ernest Bales had given to Colony Ridge, Terrenos Houston. So, number 1, vote out Ernest Bales. the big daddy of Colony Ridge, he and Trey Harris, and there's other people as well. Number two, you undo what he did. He created Colony Ridge with the Colony Ridge Law, which is House Bill 4341. We're going to repeal it. And maybe this time we'll actually debate the issue, but we have to repeal it. It will be, if I'm in there, we will repeal it. Step three, place Liberty County under conservatorship. I think that might be necessary. Actually, the state GOP and concerned legislatures seeing the horror of what's going on in Colony Ridge, Terrenos Houston. It's like, what are we going to do about it? One of the strategies they have is to do conservatorship, which means that Austin will come here. It's like, okay, you local politician, elected officials, you're hurting your community. You're not working the best interest of these counties and their citizens. So Austin's going to have to come in and take direct authority and get rid of these people, which they need to. So what would that mean? Well, certain people need to be the protectors and enablers of Colony Ridge, Terrenos Houston must be removed from office. We need to vote some of these people out. I'm shocked these people are able to get reelected based on what they've done. Jay Knight, Louis Bergman, they need to be relieved from their jobs, as well as Mr. Bergman's daughter, who's the DA. We can't have that anymore. They're just going to have to find something else to do while we tackle this issue. So if a conservatorship, maybe I should be the conservator, but if we have a conservatorship, we need a local state representative who cares about his communities, is going to work in the best interest of it, and yet participate with the conservators, the conservator and the conservatorship to totally eradicate all this wrongdoing associated with Colony Ridge, which must be done. Step four, stop the ITIN loan program at Colony Ridge. This stands for the Individual Tax Identification Loan. To get a lot at Colony Ridge, Terrenos Houston, the illegal alien doesn't have to have a social security number. Obviously, the reason Colony Ridge is doing this is because they cater to the undocumented. Instead, they get an ITI number, which anyone can get. The settlers don't have to have a credit check, nor do they have to have a job history. They just pay $500 and they start assembling a tent, a shack, or a shelter on their assigned lot. They are to provide ID, but it could be ID for their country of origin. We will require them to have a social security number to provide a form of ID from Texas or the USA. We also require them to have a credit check and verify their legal status to reside and work in the United States of America. So this whole non-traditional loan program, no credit check, no job history, no social security number, that's got to stop. It's got to stop. It needs to be like everyone else has to do it. We're going to stop that immediately. And that'll probably, once you stop this ITIN loan program, that'll probably, they'll stop coming up here. It's like, party's over. All right, step five, initiate criminal investigations, preferably conducted by the Texas Rangers. The situation represents why we have the Texas Rangers to begin with. We need an outside law enforcement agency, meaning that's one that's not on the take, to come in to do an investigation and potentially prosecute those involved in Colony Ridge, Terrenos Houston. I think that's important. And someone was talking about, I think they called the Michael Berry show. Michael Berry has been tracking this issue very well. And so the local administrators went after the local sheriff for saying that, no, is it a no-go zone for law enforcement or not? Why aren't they enforcing the law over there? If they can't do it, well, let's continue, because there's other things we need to do. Step 8, call on the National Guard and the DPS to secure Colony Ridge. It is reported that Colony Ridge, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. Step 5 is a criminal investigation. Step 6, it says have. All right, step 5 is a criminal investigation. Hopefully we can bring in an outside law enforcement that's not beholden to Trey Harris or Ernest Bales, independent investigators to see if laws are broken and hold people accountable and prosecute them. Step 6, I'm sorry, I skipped a step. Step 6, have an environmental survey, establish the reports of environmental damage and drainage issues are factual or not. If the reports are true, hold Trey Harris and Colony Ridge, Terrenos Houston liable and require them to repair the damage they had done. Okay, so there's all these stories about the drainage is wrong, there's been flooding, there's been raw sewage just pumped in the local rivers and just on the streets. It's filth, very unhygienic, very unsafe. It's not up to code. Well, is that true or it's not? Either there's drainage issues, either there's pollution, either there's environmental destruction, or not. And if there is, then it needs to be dealt with. I think that all these reports are true. And because of the legal authority given by, well, like I said, one of his, the DA, it's corruption. It's corruption. They're allowing wide-scale pollution, fecal matter in our public waters. They don't care. It's a quick and easy way for a buck. All right, step 7, stop the expansion of Colony Ridge. Trey Harris intends to expand Colony Ridge into Tarkington. With all the controversy, it's time to stop the expansion of Colony Ridge. It's like, why are you letting Colony Ridge take over Tarkington? It's like, I lived in Tarkington. It's a nice little community. It's going to be destroyed. Oh, God. This is terrible. Oh, well, we just asked him not to have bad drainage like he had in Plum Grove. As long as we got good drainage. Here, Ernest Bales. Here, Trey Harris. You can have Tarkington. It's all yours. Make it to a shantytown. Just make sure we got good drainage. I can't believe this is happening, but it is. Step 8, call on the National Guard and the DPS to secure Colony Ridge. It is reported that Colony Ridge is a no-go zone for law enforcement. If this is true, then we must bring this area under rule of law. All right, we have to live in. That's what bothers me about the whole illegal immigration thing. I've traveled around the world, and I have to have a visa and a passport, and when I'm in a foreign country, I have to be respectful for their laws, their norms and customs as far as possible. You go through the airport, and they do the electronic strip search. Put your hands over your head. And it's like, man, everybody that gets on the plane has to be, they're looking at your nude body. It's such a violation. Oh, this is for your safety, humiliate you. But these people just walk across the border by the tens of thousands. And I want to say something else about that. Like I said, I've worked on the border issue directly for 4 years. So each one of these people that comes across our border, we let, the Biden administration lets them come on in. The cartel extracts $10,000 from each illegal alien. $10,000. Do the math. So if you have 250,000 illegal aliens, as we do right now, 250,000 illegal aliens crossing by through our border every month, and each one of them is giving the drug cartels $10,000 or more sometimes, you're looking at the Mexican drug cartel is getting $30 trillion or more since the Biden administration took office, or the Biden regime seized power. It's a better way of putting it. I don't believe that's kind of the incredible thing is these people, they steal an election, they seize power, they start pursuing the opposition and jailing them, trying to prosecute the opposing side. And I remember, Biden's in the process of stealing, taking over the government, or actually Barack Obama, the people behind it. He's their old figurehead. I'm moderate Joe from Scranton. Oh, don't worry about, I'm Republicans, Democrats. I'll be for everybody. It's like, you've never been for everybody your whole life. You're a left-wing extremist. Give me a break. Biden's a moderate. Come on, spare me. And look at this. This is the most left-wing radical administration probably in the history of this country, and probably one of the most extreme left-wing governments in the world right now. Our policy at the border is going to destroy this country. It's unsustainable. It's represents decline, and I'm surprised that the Republican Party is so weak and insipid. That's why we need someone like me, somebody who's serious about our nation, what it represents, the conservative policies that help everybody, that puts principles first. So let's continue. If this is true, let me read this again. Step 8, call on the National Guard and the DPS to secure Colony Ridge. It's reported that Colony Ridge is no-go for law enforcement. If that's true, we must bring this area under the rule of law. We need to initiate what I'm going to call Operation Heartbreak Ridge and have the National Guard, the military police, and the Department of Public Safety secure the region. It's like somebody, well, it's not that it's a no-go zone. It's just too big. It's just we can't cope with something so large. Oh, really? Oh, okay, so you need help. All right, let's call the National Guard. Let's call the DPS. This is a threat to public safety. Step 9, bring in immigration and customs enforcement. This might have to wait until a Republican takes office, if we ever do again, hopefully in 2025. We need an ICE task force to clean up the mess Ernest Bells created in Colony Ridge, Terrenos, Houston. So, step 10. This is the conclusion. This is a 10-point program, so step 10. While immigration law needs to be enforced, it's important. I think we need to have rule of law. I think we're probably going to have 15 to 20 million illegal aliens brought into the country under Joe Biden just by walking across the border. And these children are being sexually trafficked. Drugs are coming across the border, killing 100,000 American teenagers and young people every year. Biden administration doesn't care. It's horrible. So we need to enforce the law. And we have so many people that took advantage of this regime and its policies that, many people do need to be deported. But we should still, at the same time, have compassion. I wish we'd just secure the border and then deal with the problem. But they want millions upon millions upon millions more. I saw a book at the bookstore. It was written by a Democrat. And it was about how they want to bring the population of the United States to 1 billion through legal and illegal immigration. That's what they want to do. Can you imagine that? Okay, while immigration law needs to be enforced, it seems that the illegal immigrants While immigration law needs to be enforced, it seems that the illegal aliens settling in Colony Ridge, Terrenos, Houston are being exploited. We need to look after their welfare. It is time to begin filing lawsuits on behalf of all victims of Colony Ridge, Terrenos, Houston. A Hispanic friend of mine went to Colony Ridge and spoke to several of the residents. She said that they feel like they're being deceived and exploited and have great fear and frustration. We must protect all human beings from hate and from hate, harm, and abuse, regardless of their immigration status. So here we got Trey Harris. Trey Harris is exploiting illegal immigrants. He's exploiting them. And he has the audacity to accuse people who are appalled by what he's doing, not just to our community, but to the people who are residents in his community. Calls us racist. It's horrible. I'm sure he's the racist. That's usually what they do. But he doesn't care about anything and have any moral structures at all. It's just about money and power. He'll do anything to get it. Actually, my friend who went over there to check things out, she says you got to be careful. This is a money-making, a business, be illegal or unethical, but it's a business plan. This is a money-making scheme. And if they feel like you're an actual threat to them, they might try to kill you. And it's like, I'm not afraid of those people. My hope is in Jesus Christ, and for me to live as Christ and die as gain. Plus, I'm a fighter, trained military combatant. So, why does this matter? Many people whose families have lived in this region for generations are being forced to leave because of Colony Ridge, Terrenos, Houston. The community is no longer safe. This rapid growth is also creating a lot of problems with the local infrastructure, which Attorney General Paxton talked about that. Colony Ridge, Terrenos, Houston is reputed to be a bastion of the Mexican drug cartels. It's full of gang activity, prostitution, and drugs. Just think about the issue of prostitution. It's illegal. You could argue that, you have a grown adult woman. It's something consensual between two adults. This is the world's oldest profession. Blah blah blah. But the fact of the matter is, we're talking about sex trafficking. We're talking about women who are being enslaved and who are being made in the United States of America in the 21st century. Women being enslaved for sex and raped again and again daily. And you're just going to let that go on? And local pastors are taking money from Ernest Bells and turning a blind eye to it? Churches are being closed down by this. People are moving out. I preached in Splendora many times. That there's a church there. Used to be, network with my church. Congregation would come over here. I go over there. Right outside Plum Grove, you had to close the church and move out. Because it's not safe. Plus, all of his parishioners are gone, driven out by Trey Harris and Ernest Bells. I think this Robert Nichols guy is not running again, but he's just like Bells. So we can't allow human sex trafficking, child trafficking. We know what the cartels are about. And another thing is either they're running Colony Ridge or they're there or they're not. And if they're there, it needs to be dealt with. And obviously they are there. So, basically this means that Ernest Bells is giving Liberty County, San Jacinto County to the Mexican drug cartels on a silver platter. You want to do something about it? Vote this man out of office.